Okay. All right. Gotta go out again. I have a few words. Let's get you like this, maybe. And gotta look a little bit better. I don't know how well this will go with my food. My darling son and husband got me the food for the road because everything takes long here. Gotta adjust my mirror. Oh, Frank, please make it. Frank is my truck. It's actually my husband's truck. Last time we talked, I was in Sofia. This time, okay, there's like 14 million little gadgets here, and let's see, we want a little bit of heat. All right, let's do it, people. Let's get her out. Oh gosh. It rained yesterday and it was super warm. It was super warm. I don't have a camera in this truck either. And let me just change that window because, oh, there we go. I gotta be able to see where I'm going. Oi. Like, thing is when we moved here, we moved from the south to the north, because as I told you very briefly last time, it was just a short introduction that was very, very long. We just couldn't stand it down south anymore. I think we're getting too old. I do think with age, things start happening to you, like you start realizing what's not important and what's important. And as a consequence of my cousin dying, my sister from another mister, we decided to listen to her wisdom because, you know, she was wise, especially in the last few words that she left us with. And every time that we go down to the rat race, because inevitably, you know, our whole family is there, everybody we know is there, we are only making friends here. Sorry, that's our thing with my neighbors. Yeah, so I got lost there. Anyways, hi. Escaping the rat race, we had to escape, and because we had to leave rather quickly because, well, we had to leave quickly because the rental that we were in, they wanted to sell it. So as you can imagine, that becomes a little bit of a problem, especially when you run a business out of there. So we made the best of it. We did our very, 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 very best to get out as quickly as we could. And because of that, we had to find something in the country, in the deep north. And it was at the height of the craziness in the Canadian real estate market. And the Canadian real estate market is by far one of the most crazy in the world right now. Actually, Canada is really breaking records all over the place. Canada is actually just a cluster F, a fluster cluck. I gotta remember that, a fluster cluck, because it's a really good word, and you guys know what I'm talking about. Canada's Prime Minister is a dictator. We're the talk of the town, but not for good reasons in Canada. If I had the money, if tomorrow I won $60 million, which I played one time, I did play, because you're not supposed to want to wish to win if you don't play. Well, that makes sense. That does actually make sense. And if I won that money, the very first thing I would do is collect everybody that I love and say, look, here's where I'm going. You want to come with me? I'll situate you in a little place and come with me, you know, like my parents and my other family members and anybody really that I'm close to that would be willing to run away. But there's a lot of people, and I don't know about you, but there's a lot of people that are still believing in this fluster cluck of a society that we're being told that we should live in and that we should strive for. I used to think when I was younger, when I was really young, in my 20s, and if you're in your 20s and you're listening to this old lady cluck on, then I'm so envious in one respect as to where you are in your life, because you have your whole life ahead of you. The problem with being 20 and having your whole life ahead of you, this is from my experience, because this is just my perspective on anything that I say, is that you're so goddamn new to this world. And I mean, you're just green for the most part, unless you're like a really mature human being, which I wasn't, which is really weird, because in many aspects I was an old soul, but I was still very naive. I think the problem with me is I was very naive for a very, very long time. Anyway, when I was 20, I didn't see the world this way. I thought success was what most people today still think it is. You know, climbing the corporate ladder, or, I'm sorry if this truck is very, very loud. I tried to get my microphones together, but that was a fluster cluck as well this morning. And I really need to go do this in the morning, because this is my morning routine on Thursdays. I have to go and do this errand, and because other people are involved, and so I need to get out. And as you can see, I forgot my other glasses. These glasses are harsher. I'm not sure how they're gonna look. They might be harsher looking, more towards the thorny part of my channel. But back to what I thought success was, that creates this society that I now have run away from. It's kind of like a love affair. When you meet someone and you fall in love, crazy in love with someone, because they're so opposite to you, or because you see something in them. And then that's the very thing that later on, 25 years later, really splits you apart, because you can't deal with it anymore. It's kind of like that. I thought success was climbing the ladder. I thought success was making money, having a big house, having the Mercedes. I remember I really, 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 really wanted to get that Mercedes. You know, that Mercedes that is like, it's like an SUV. It's like it's not like the real boxy one, but it's like the really like nice SUV. It's kind of like the Audi Q7, kind of like that. That was like my favorite car because I felt that would be like a show of, I've got to stop saying like, that's really annoying. When I hear that, that's really annoying. I'm sorry. There's a like story I have when I was younger. It's a good story. One day I'll have to tell you. And that's what I thought success was. I thought being busy is successful. It's a show of success. Having kids in every sport and in dance class and in all sorts of activities and going to parties, that was success. And maybe that was just my naive perspective of what I saw as success. But, you know, my cousin, God bless her soul, my cousin used to watch the Kardashians. Now, I have to say I think I was too far away already by the time she started watching the Kardashians, because when you listen to Alan Watt without the S from Cutting Through the Matrix, I'm going to plug him shamelessly because he's the smartest man I know. That's the only way I can say it. I think I was already too deep into listening to Alan from Cutting Through the Matrix to really fall for the Kardashians. But my cousin, as I told you before, we had many differences of opinions. Like, she watched The Survivor, she watched the Kardashians, she watched all the reality shows. And I think I was too awake for that already. And she just, I didn't bother her, the fact that she liked them as entertainment. But the Kardashians were one of those shows that really perpetrated this thinking or this image that success was lots of money, duck lips and perfect hair and, okay, they brought in a bigger ass because, well, they couldn't help it. They had a big ass. But they didn't get famous and they didn't make their money on their show. They made their money on their father. Their father made their money. And their father was a man who made his money through O.J. Simpson. Now, I'll leave that for you because there's only so thorny I can be before, I get strikes from the YouTube community. It's not a community. It's an organization that censors people. So you read between the lines. All that to say is that these people didn't make their money on being kind or being good business people. Okay, because what they're selling, in short, in one word, is demoralization. And I think cities in general wouldn't be a horrific place to live if they didn't get coupled with demoralization at the same time as, everything is happening in a city. Like, it's busy. There's a lot of people living in condos and big buildings, and there just isn't a lot of nature to be had. There isn't a lot of places where you can think, because it's truly, I've got to tell you, truly, when I go now back to the city, it's reinforced that the jump that I took with my family was probably the right one. Now, I mean, a year from now, I might be crying in this car when I'm going to do my thing, whatever that thing is, and I might be crying because I'm lonely and I don't have the amenities that I had, and perhaps I will be walking back everything that I say today. And that's human nature. You live and you learn. Hopefully. There's a caveat that there's a lot of people, even in my life, that are much older than me, and I look at them and I'm wondering, how old are you? I mean, have you not grown out of this? Because I think that there's a level of maturity that should be accompanying your age. So as you get older, I think it's important that you develop a sense of wisdom throughout your life, because you're learning and you're gaining that knowledge as you learn. And I want to make it very clear, whoever thinks that they're educated because they got their head boxed, meaning, in case you don't know what that means, when you get your head boxed, is at the end of the cycle of getting your head boxed, you get a square hat. Now there's a reason why you get a square hat, people. All that got the square hat. There's a reason why, and it's a joke, and it's pretty funny. But it's not funny when too many people start getting their head boxed. Now, did you ever wonder why 50 years ago, 60 years ago, there was a small percentage of people that went to university and college, and usually just university, because college was reserved mostly for those people that went in and got their papers to be an electrician, to be a plumber, useful things. And you would go in for 2 years. It was literally like an extension of high school, hands-on. It was like going to shop class in high school, or home ec class, which they, I think, got rid of. Things like that were tangible, things that you can go into the world and you can actually make a society run. Now, more and more people that should have no business being in university, and sorry if this is a thorny situation for you, you'll have to sort of deal with it, or not, switch me off, or tell me why I'm wrong. But when the majority of the people, some of which, as I stated, should not be going to university, there's many people that should not be going to university, get their head boxed, and when the box is coming out of the university, are more aggressive and less intelligent than they were when they went in, because ostensibly, if you go in, you have a set of skills, like you think this way or you think that way. To some degree, you're thinking your way. But when you get boxed in to an idea from university, whether it's there was one university degree that I thought was, oh my God, I'm gonna have to, I think, research all the ridiculous diplomas that are actually not even good for toilet paper, because like the paper they're written on is so hardcore that your ass would fall apart if you tried to wipe it. And to be honest, when you have a majority of people that have a boxed head, and the boxed head is not like in the olden days when you used to get your degree and you used to be a quantum physics professor, or you used to be, a mathematician or a philosopher. These were assets, because in those days, when a mathematician came out of that university, you knew for sure you would have strong bridges and that your trains would fit into tunnels without any problems, without any mistakes in the math. Whereas today's boxed people that come out of these universities, they have like useless pieces of paper, and they end up working at Starbucks because they can't get a job in the degree or in the department or area in which they got their degree. But there is a joke. So every time you wear that square hat, you have completed their program into boxing your head into a square. So your head is round, right? The joke is that they've taken your round head and chiseled it through their program to be a square head. Now, I don't understand why when you get a square hat, you don't wonder why you got a square hat. There is history behind your hat. There is history behind the cloak you wear. All of these things are symbolic. Don't take my word for it, because I'm nobody. But, again, a tangent that I ran off of, to say that now society in the cities has so many box heads that think that they're not only important, but they think that they're viable to the city. They're not. They're actually becoming more and more of a destructive force, because when you have a bunch of useless degrees where they think they've learned something, they go to somebody that didn't get a boxed head, someone that's open to being able to ingest other opinions, and other opinions, being able to take somebody else's opinion and grapple with it is actually critical thinking. They take that out of your round head and put you in a box where they say, no, you went to university. You go ahead and say, oh, did you go to university? I went to university for what was one, and this isn't going to be correct, but it's something along the lines of managing people traffic in cities. That was the 4-year degree. I went to one of my kids' university ceremonies that they don't understand. They don't even understand. I asked them, why are you guys wearing these colors? Why are you wearing these robes? Why are you wearing a square hat? Oh, that's tradition. But they don't know where the tradition comes from. So for you to follow a tradition you do not understand is ignorance. So you are essentially telling me that you're so smart because you graduated, but you don't have the intellect to think through why any of these things are happening to you. And that's much like the rest of the world. So back to what I thought success was. I thought it was money. I thought it was a nice car, a big house, having your kids in all of these busy activities. Keep them busy, because an idle mind is dangerous. Wow! What a lie! What a lie! You know, if you're busy all the time, you have no time to think. You have no time to think of, who am I? Why am I doing this? Do I want to do this? And why am I so tired? Why am I so tired? So, when my cousin was dying, and throughout the 4 years that she was dying, because ostensibly she had a cancer that they could not fix, you know, and that's another topic about that disease. That disease is still, to this day, with billions and billions of dollars being thrown at it, it's still being fought like it was being fought in the 1950s. Now you chew on that if you can. If you don't have too much of a boxed head, you should be able to chew on that. With billions of dollars, we have these experts and all of these researchers. Are they ass backwards that they can't figure out better ways? I mean, it was like watching my cousin go through what she went through with cancer. To me, was like watching us go through the motions of a lie, because everything that they were telling us was backwards. They made so many errors. They nearly they nearly messed up so many times where it could have cost her her life. This is the best hospital in Canada where people from all around the world go. I won't name it. You can maybe figure it out because I don't want to get in trouble on YouTube. I'm just starting and I don't want to get kicked off. I'm looking for my bros and sisters. I'm looking for my community. Anyways, that I don't know where that came from. Anyway, finally when she was dying, which was the nightmare of my life, I was terrified of her dying, as anybody would be terrified of their loved one, their soul sister dying. The profound things that she said in the last 7 days of her life were the most eye-opening education I got in 7 days. And when she died, I had to sit down and think. And what happened that year is we still were running the business like crazy, and coronavirus made things so crazy. I just said to my husband, I just said, you know, Ciocia was right. Ciocia means aunt in Polish, and we called her Ciocia because she was the Ciocia. This is not worth it. This is not worth it. That year, because I just couldn't cope with constantly being at work, I kind of let a lot of things slide. A lot of things I just realized that's not important, and that's not important, and having a perfectly clean house is not important, and making sure this and that is done is not important. As long as the main things, so the wheels on the bus stay on and they don't fall off, that's what I did. I did the bare minimum for the first 4 to 6 months, and I went every day at 3 o'clock. I would take off and I'd go to the beach, and I would sit there, and I would just sit there like a zombie almost. But I took in the water, and I took in the beach, and I took in the people, and the people skittering around and running around. And there was lots of people I met that I knew. And I realized, I don't think I've ever sat down and ran idle. Because I've been so busy trying to be successful. So busy chasing after this piece of paper, this digit on a screen that means absolutely nothing. When you're dying, you don't give a crap about any of it. You really don't. Like, think about it. Okay, if you're not dying, obviously you don't know, and you can't put yourself in that perspective, in that frame of mind, because you're not dying. And really, it's really hard to put yourself in a dying person's perspective. But let me tell you, do this exercise once next time, because this is, I think, what helped me. When you're really sick, if you get sick with a cold, with like bronchitis or pneumonia, God forbid, but if you ever get a really bad cold, even just a really bad cold, I want you to think of what you want the most. You couldn't care less about how much money you have in the bank. You couldn't care less about having the nicest outfit. You couldn't care less about your makeup or your nice car outside. You just want to feel better. You couldn't care less. Everything starts going to the wayside. You don't care. Sorry, it's a little bumpy here. This is a very unorganized area, so there's the snow has not been plowed yet. When I was taking those days to myself, because I couldn't care less. I just couldn't care less. I was missing a huge part of me. It was like getting my arm chopped off when she died. I realized then that I was not successful at all. That I was falling for something someone made me believe was needed. I had been had. Yep, I had been had. And for any of you who don't believe you've been had, then you just have not reached your limit yet. Everybody has a different threshold. Everybody has a different limit of what they can handle. And some people get really big and start, gaining weight, and that becomes a problem. You can't lose the weight because your nervous system just cannot keep up. Some people lose a lot of weight. Like I lost a lot of weight. Like I was really thin. It was painfully thin. And I had my hair had thinned really, really bad. I had my stool was too much information, I know, but we're getting close. You're getting to know me. It was really bad. I just had really bad time going to the bathroom. And these are all signs that you've had enough. These are all signs you've had enough. Not all of us are able to read those signs. I need to take a break because I'm at my location. Give me a minute. I will be back, okay? All right. We are done. Whew. That wasn't so bad. Oh, the weather is starting to be nice. Well, not really nice. The sun is trying to come out. Anyways, where was I? Okay, my 4x4 is on. Anyway, back to what I was meandering about. I gotta check. Give me a second. I gotta make sure that I close that right. Yeah, I did. Sometimes I have left here with Sophia, my car, the one I was in last time when we had our chat. I left the whole back end open and I was driving out of here. My gosh. Anyway, back to the society that we have been made to believe that we want. I realized that on those days where I was able to sit on the beach idly, which is what we are taught is bad. Meanwhile, I want to, sorry, I got to change this to 2x4, not 4x4. Meanwhile, all of the people that we quote, like, who do we quote? We quote Marcus Aurelius, like people like that. People that were very smart, allegedly, were all people that didn't have jobs like us, that weren't running around from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. My husband's such a good man. Gave me a snack. Anybody we quote for the most part, if it's from the olden day, didn't have a job like us. They sat around and pondered. So all of those people, the said people we quote, were not busy. They generally had maids, and they generally had people that took care of their clothing and cooks. And they were people that literally sat and pondered, or traveled, or read under trees. They did not feel that they needed to go and work as hard as, sorry if it's a little bit bumpy, as hard as they're telling us to do. So I realized that my cousin's gone. I still have a family to enjoy. I still managed to have children. They didn't teach that out of me, which they are now doing to the new generation. And another thorny thought is, that's by design. Sorry, you guys are being a little... Left rear door is ajar. Okay, Frank, how come it's ajar? My door is ajar. My door is ajar. 1 second, please. Oh, it's cold. Yeah, what happened was it's so frozen. When I was cleaning the car, I tried to open the back door and it wouldn't because it was frozen. But now that Frank has thawed out a little bit, Frank is this car, it's ajar, even though it's still a door. Anyway, so I have my family and they're still alive. So while they're still alive, why don't I actually start living? And that's when we decided to escape the rat race, the devilish lie that we've been led to believe. And I truly believe that we have been led down a rabbit hole that is very difficult to get out of, because just go with me for a minute. Just think about it. If they make us believe that we need the nice car, we need the nice house, we need the nice clothes, the great makeup, the furry eyelashes, we have to work for those. We have to work for those. And in order to work for those, we have to give 8 hours of our time or do some sort of business, like in our case. And that's even more than 8 hours a day. Don't fool yourself. And then you don't have time to actually live because you're chasing things that make them live. They get to live because they sell us all the things that they make us believe that we need. And so then I realized it's a devilish trick. It's a very devilish trick to make us believe that we need to look beautiful, we need to look young, we need to have the nicest of things. But then we die and we've never lived because we were always chasing the things that they told us to chase. Think about that. Think about that. And when I think about all of the smart people that we repeat when they quote things, like, I should get some good quotes. I should get some good quotes and overlay it. Maybe that's what I'll do. We'll see. And if you really look at all of those people, like, there's a really good quote by Margaret Thatcher. That woman, she was not exactly like the person that I'm describing right now, because I'm describing people that are really, 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 really long time ago. People that had money, the people that were part of running the society, that were the thinkers. But she even had a really, really good quote. And I'll try to put it up. But she had everybody working for her. And and she had our tax dollars. She had, oh my gosh, I can't see. This big truck drove by and like dirtied my whole window. Anyway, food for thought. I would recommend that you rethink what is important and what is wealth, because wealth, in my opinion, is the ability to sleep in. Now my understanding of wealth is the ability to sleep in, the ability to sit idly and be bored, the ability to grow your own food, have space from others, not have to be built on top of one another, so not be such a flustercluck of people. And I do think that being able to spend time with your family and friends and talking to everybody and allowing yourself to just be and not have to be somewhere or do something, that you have the option of whether or not you want to do it, that's real wealth. And sitting idly and being bored is absolutely something that I believe that the people that run this world do not want us to have. Because the moment we start realizing that I didn't need that pair of shoes, I don't need that big house, I don't need that fancy car, they lose money every time you realize that fact. Because it is a fact. And I know facts are not very popular right now. They have fallen out of fashion. But I am feeling that there's a turn in our world where I think people are starting to see it. I think people are so fed up, so just overworked, underpaid, underappreciated, overrun, that I just think that people are starting to really see things a little bit more clearly. And I think the pendulum, has swung to one side. It's on one side, and now it's kind of going, I think that's too far, and I think we're going to start to swing back. And I'm hoping that it doesn't swing all the way back to where we were before, because we've made a lot of gains in our societies. We've never had it more better, if you know what I mean. So I just hope that a lot of times when things get too good and things get out of whack, we fall back into like a totalitarianism, like a dictatorship, or into something completely that constrains us again, instead of trying to come to the middle. It's so hard to find a balance. Balance is this easy word to throw out, but it's such a hard word to achieve. Balance is one of the hardest things for us to achieve as a society and as a human being individually, because who is really balanced? I mean, I don't know very many people that are too balanced. Authentically balanced, I mean. Not, people that write books about how balanced they are, and then you find out that they're in a, they're sucking their thumb in a mental institution because they were so busy being balanced for everybody. But anyway, all right. I know that was a long chat, but thanks for coming and visiting me. Thanks for listening. And if you have something to add or ask or comment on, I encourage you to do so. I'd love to engage with you. And if you're just going to attack, I'll give you a heartfelt thumbs up or a hug, a virtual hug, because I think that's what you need. If you want to come in and attack, I'm not here to attack anybody. I'm just here to air out my thoughts. Anyway, have a wonderful day. I hope the sun is shining where you are, whether it's hot or cold. I do think the sun makes a difference. And that's that. I'm back another day when I'm in the car. Take care.